Hello and welcome back to another Last Drops review here on Whiskey Uncorked, where we take a bottle off of my shelf that is almost gone. Sometimes it's a pretty healthy final pour, but we take a bottle off of my shelf that's almost gone. We pour it live, I give you some tasting notes, and just give you my general impressions of my experience over time with the entire bottle. So today we're actually going to be talking about a bottle I've had for quite a while, and it's been open for quite a while. But this is a Berry Brothers and Rudd independent bottling of Ardmore, which is from the Highlands in Scotland. So just a quick few details about this specific bottle. This was drawn from cask reference 800962. It is 13 years old. It was bottled back in 2019, distilled in 2006. It's 55.9% ABV. And that's most of the information that is on the bottle. There are some tasting notes on the back, which I'll read out if I remember, hopefully. But it doesn't say anything about casking, but it is extremely pale. And there is almost no doubt that this is from a bourbon cask or possibly even a refill cask. So let's get this poured into the glass and I'll start talking about my overall experience with this bottle. So I bought this back in 2020, late 2020, at the height of the world being crazy. And I remember buying it because I had driven from Denver to Wisconsin to spend the holidays with my family. And my brother and I decided to go out into the dark, scary world and brave, the disease-ridden streets at the time. And we drove all the way up to Madison, Wisconsin. It's about an hour, 45-minute drive or so. And we hit up some of the liquor stores there because, again, that was one of the few things that were really open at the time. So I remember buying a whole bunch of bottles, some of which I still have on my shelf that are still open, some of which ended up being kind of special bottles given what they were, and definitely things that would be much harder to try to acquire today, at least in a similar sort of vein. So I opened this bottle probably back like 2021 at some point, and it's been open since then. And the reason why it's been open for so long really is because at first I didn't love this bottle. Didn't hate it, but it was taking me a little bit of time to, I think, get acclimated just to the peat style and the fact that it probably one of my first examples of like a heavily peated whiskey that wasn't from Islay. But as with so many bottles, eventually I started to figure it out. It started to click a little bit more. I'm sure the bottle opened up a bit too over time, but I can say that being my last pour of this, has been a really good bottle. But before I get too much deeper into that, let me read you the tasting notes off the back of the bottle, and then I'll give you my own. And I'll give it a score, a quick wrap-up comment or two, and get you on your way. So the back here, it says a little bit about the Ardmore distillery, and how they are generally a pretty peaty style, especially coming from the Highlands. But the actual tasting notes are, the nose gives some butterscotch mingled with leather and gentle peat smoke. The palate offers more peat smoke carried by fresh yellow fruit skins, a hint of banana and melon. The finish is lingering and decidedly peaty. So I can tell you that those notes are definitely buyable, but let's see what I'm getting on it today. All right, nose first. Here we go. So it is obviously peaty. The peat reminds me of an Islay peat, but much lighter. It's not super earthy. It is just kind of like a smoldering campfire. Nothing too bold or crazy or funky or anything like that. Other than that, yes, it's a bunch of yellow fruits, yellow apples, maybe some melon as the bottle mentioned, maybe a touch of citrus as well. It's creamy, it's malty. Not getting much in the way of spice or brininess or anything like that. Not that you would expect that here, but as opposed to an Islay whiskey. So overall, pretty clean, fresh, and bright, even considering the light smokiness coming off of the nose. And as the bottle suggests, the peat's pretty light on the nose, but you do get a much larger impact on the palate. Speaking of which, let's try it out. Cheers. So everything translates from the nose really well onto the palate, except the peat. The peat is much louder. It's a little bit more peppery. It's definitely making itself known. But other than that, you are getting a bit of a malt bomb of a whiskey and everything you would expect that comes with that. You're getting the barley sugar, you're getting the vanilla, you're getting some very light oaky qualities to it, maybe a slight bitterness from that oak. You can argue some white pepper, but overall, it's this combination of creamy malt and peppery peat. Let's go in for another sip. Pretty good viscous mouthfeel. I've never felt the ABV at 55.9% was high. I don't believe I've added water much to this at all. But the bottle mentions butterscotch. I can see that. There is a sweetness in there, but it's much more kind of a vanilla and almost confectionery, like some white sugar sweetness, but not overly cloying. Maybe, like a simple syrup sort of sweetness in a cocktail. One more sip. Yeah, fruit-wise, same thing from the nose. Their description of yellow fruit skins, very accurate. You do get some orchard and maybe a touch of lemon, but not super acidic lemon. It's more of almost a lemon candy. But there is that kind of dry quality. It's not quite citrus pithy, but fruit skin, absolutely. The finish is solid. It definitely lingers on the palate. I can still feel the tingling, the pepperiness sitting on my palate, alongside some of that dry kind of almost pithy quality to it. But on the back of the finish, you're getting more of that pepper. You're getting some oak, and it is fairly smoky for a Highland style of peat. Where a lot of times you're getting something that's a little bit more earthy and less like pungently smoky, campfirey. Where, as I mentioned on the nose, this is leaning a little bit more Islay without all the really kind of heavy medicinal, briny or ashy notes. So overall, really good. Definitely fits a peat profile for me, because as much as I love my Islay whiskeys, as I mentioned before, I don't go to them as frequently as maybe I should, because my brain isn't always ready for that experience. So this is something that kind of gives me something similar to, let's say, an Ardbeg 10 that was cast strength, but like the peat was toned way down. Not that it tastes exactly like an Ardbeg 10, but it's kind of in that same like lighter, fresher quality, where Ardbeg is bringing a pretty ashy, sweet peat. This is a little bit lighter and a little more pepper. So overall, for a score in terms of enjoyment for me, I'm going to put this probably right in line with some of the other 10-year-old Islas I've been reviewing recently, which I've been giving 7 out of 10s, which is very good. I think this fits right in there, albeit obviously at a higher proof. And at least for me, I would probably reach for this a little bit more frequently, even at the higher proof, just because the peat doesn't dominate my palate. I feel like I could still go have something unpeated after this, and this wouldn't be affecting my experience all that much. So to wrap things up, a 7 out of 10. I think it's well deserved. It doesn't do anything wild or special. This has definitely opened my eyes and probably opened the door for me to purchase some more Ardmore independent bottlings. Unfortunately, they do have an official range, but it's fairly limited. Mostly the only bottle available to me is the Ardmore Legacy, which is at 40% ABV and is going to be chill filtered. Not a bottle I'm clamoring for today. Maybe at some point I'll grab one just to sate my curiosity, but I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for some more independent bottlings of Ardmore that are reasonably priced. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I paid $70 for this, which is a fantastic deal probably these days. Although I wouldn't expect to pay too much more for an Ardmore independent bottling, just because it's a somewhat lesser known distillery. It's kind of in that middle where I think the people who know about it are big fans, and then there's just a lot of other people out there that maybe haven't discovered it yet or have passed on independent bottlings because they're not really sure what it is. But now that I know what it is, I'm definitely going to be looking out for some more of it. I'm going to enjoy these last few sips out of this glass. And until next time, thank you again for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. And cheers.